V5 on the blue side, banning away the Thresh, Rise, and the TF. Ultra Prime banning away the Zeri, the Ahri, and the Vex. First pick, Hecarim for Karsa.
Here's a bold prediction. I expect we're probably going to see a Jinx from Ultra Prime.
No way.
They're doing it.
No way. Is that Arcane? Is that Powder?
Oh, I love Powder. I love Arcane. Yeah, I'm locked in. I am curious to see what else we get prioritized here. You could just go a jungle to have like a safe pick here and then quickly commit to that Lee Sin. It does have a small element of disengage, but being able to kick away, but has that early pressure you can use up against V5. Now, V5, they actually go for a little bit of EDG's playbook with that Karma Ezreal super heavy harass lane. And also the Karma syncs well with Hecarim, that extra movement speed. You already have that engaged. Now, Ultra Prime, looking for the support option. They are going to go for the Nautilus, so something that can threaten the likes of the Ezreal Karma if you do have a gank being moved down towards that side of the map, right? If Lee Sin shows up, you have the CC, but ultimately, you're not going to have prior in that lane. You are going to get harassed. Now, looking towards the ban phase, I feel like Ultra Prime, you know, they have a position where they can prioritize the mid laner. They can also look to get counter pick and top if that's what they want. They are going to look to ban away that Jace. I think V5, seeing a Jace ban, might look towards a Gwen ban themselves, but are going to go for the LeBlanc first and foremost.
And I will say, it is a tall task to even come up into a draft against V5, as they are 54 unique champions deep into the pool here in the LPL split. So it gets interesting when you start seeing these combos come out from V5 so quickly, right? We bursted through this first part of the draft. Now we're into the second part, almost done with the second banning phase. The Aurelia joins the Jace for Ultra Prime. That LeBlanc already off the table against the Cryin, rather. And we'll see if that mid lane priority still takes the focus, or if they want to ban it. I was gonna say, as they lock it in, you know, maybe focusing Elias a little bit more with that Kennen.
Yeah, but I mean, when I see a Jace ban, I instantly think, oh, that's very telegraphed for the Gwen pickup. Yeah. So, you know, they opt not to ban away. Elias is going to take it. There's still picks that can do okay into Gwen, right? You know, we've seen I mean, Kennen is actually one, so a little bit interesting V5 ban that away. But we definitely have things that can sort of hold it off pretty comfortably. Akali is something that has a lot of pressure. Gnar is something that can maintain the distance and just have a safe scale in lane. And then Orianna, I actually like quite a bit here, right? You have essentially the double enchanters. You have the Hecarim for the engage, for the ball setup. But now Ultra Prime, it's down to Cryin to sort of pick something into this. I do think they want something with priority, I think more importantly, because they're not going to have priority really on the bot side. And eventually Gnar is just going to be able to, once he gets sort of level 3, control the top wave. So I want something Cryin can look to use to assist his team with. Find priority in the lane and then lean to the sides.
We'll see if it will be the Viktor, and they do lock that in as their final pickup. Just feels like V5 were going to the grocery store, had a shopping list that just, you know, everything was right there at the very front. As soon as they walked in, they just picked it all up and marked it off the list and came right to it, because they were locking champions in so quickly. You obviously see the inherent synergies with the composition. They got the Hecarim Orianna combo as well, but that's where, you know, they get their comp. I have to focus on Ultra Prime a little bit. They got a little bit of the comfort. Elias gets the Gwen hacker on his Lee Sin. You got Jinx for Elk. How do you come away from this draft and make sure that you can find power points for yourself?
Well, I think if the game ends up going in the later stages and they can play it front to back and sort of keep their backline relatively safe, I feel like that's where Ultra Prime will be very comfortable, right? Gwen, Viktor, Jinx, incredible in the later stages of the game, and I feel like V5 won't really hold up for that regard. Where they're going to spike is in the mid game, right? Mid game, tank Hecarim, very hard to punch through, especially when your Jinx doesn't have 3 items. The Ezreal spikes very hard there as well, right? I feel like V5 has strong lanes. You know, Ori's going to be able to contest prior on the Viktor early before he gets his laser upgrade. Top lane, level 1, obviously Gwen's pretty exceptional, but Gnar will be able to find priority after, like in the level 3 point. And bot lane is just going to be, you know, unless they can find a gank, V5 are going to be able to control the wave and harass. So I really feel like V5, you have that early momentum. You kind of need to run away with it. And I need to see a strong mid game into a game being closed out. This is definitely one of those matches where I could see a team throwing, right? If V5 start making mistakes in the late stages, Jinx will get resets and she will clean up.
And with recency bias, you know that's possible. Our first match of the night is kicking off. V5 taking on Ultra Prime, try to lock in those playoffs. here and now. Summoner's Rift unfolds before us, and let's go ahead and get it kicked off. Hacker needing to find the responses to the aggression that V5 are going to be doing to stabilize and make sure the team can get to the late game position. And all eyes on Karsa, all eyes on V5 to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we often see when the Hecarim is picked up, junglers want to invade, they want to challenge the Hecarim. We've seen that quite a bit in the LPL, you know, quite similar to last year when we had that Hecarim Udyr meta. The Udyr would just like destroy you by taking all your jungle camps, forcing you away. And the thing is, the Hecarim is vulnerable early, right? Because you have Ghost, you don't have Flash, you can get caught out in that regard. Can't really, you know, handle yourself as well in skirmishes pre-6. Oh, well, I'm missing that ward. Pretty unfortunate.
There was a...
Yeah, I'm...
Go ahead.
I'm not sure if I expect to see it too much in this game, simply because of the fact that you kind of need prio on lanes to make things happen. We do see Hacker start on the top side. Oh, and ppgod could be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, they still didn't know that the ward was there, so nice little connection from ShiauC, but decent amount of damage returned backwards.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Hacker start on top side kind of telegraphs that he wants to play towards bot, which is the expectation for this team. But it does mean that, you know, if Karsa can track him, right, if it ends up being a 3v3 on the bot side, it does come down to execution. Obviously, if you land the Nautilus Q and you get follow-up, you can burst the target out for sure. Yeah. But the goal of V5's bot lane is that it's not a fair fight, because the enemy bot lane is already like 30% HP, right? That is kind of the game plan. Just harass, 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 and make sure you have that health advantage coming into the play.
And Hacker taking the quick path towards bottom lane. I was going to see if we got any unique pathing out from him this time around, but as you were kind of talking about, you know, more than fine taking an easy early game, stacking up, make sure they get to the late game for themselves. Meanwhile, nice hook connections from ShiauC, but it's going to get ever so more annoying as Photic is just able to arcane shift away every single time with the buffer.
The thing is, it's so expensive in terms of mana. You can see Photic already bidding through quite a bit of the mana pool, because every time ShiauC goes for that hook and you obviously arcane shift away, it's just burning so much of that resource. You have to use your Q as well to harass. So I like that ShiauC's going for these opportunities, and with his shield, with the fact that he disengages quite quickly, he isn't really losing out too much in these plays. Now we do have top lane, Gnar level 3 has priority in the lane. Mid lane, Rookie is finding priority against the Viktor. Bot lane, it's honestly been a bit more of a fight than I would have expected. Elk and ShiauC doing a good job to contest that, but okay, this is a bit dangerous.
This is what I love to see. The 1v1 between the junglers here for the Scuttle Crab. Hacker has to ward jump away, and immediately V5 takes pole position.
Yeah, I mean, you have triple prio lanes for V5. There's no way you can really contest that. And this is where I'm a little bit concerned about the composition for Ultra Prime, right? You know, if you aren't able to find ganks, if you aren't able to play around bot lane where they have the setup, then Lee Sin is essentially just going to naturally fall behind the Hecarim, as Hecarim not only can do things like here, take double scuttle, but also just beat you if he's just playing the farming game, right? Has a fast clear. Now, we've seen another hook come in from ShiauC. Photic now fully out of mana. The arcane shifts definitely cost him in the long term, but he's fine just to reset and probably pick up a tier on this base.
Karsa is going to get even more ahead here as he steals away the Krug camps in the top side from Hacker. Again, you were mentioning Rich having priority in that lane easily makes this decision for Karsa. That does seem like Hacker is actually coming out to deploy onto the top side of the map, maybe help out Eliza a little bit. Where I was thinking we would get the redeploy towards the bottom side, maybe still focusing and trying to get Elk ahead at any point, right? But it will be a spot out that his Krugs are gone, and unfortunately Hacker has to walk away a little bit sad.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? Going top side so you can clear down towards bot, but his Krug's already gone. He will take the Raptors, but you can see Karsa, right? 3 camps up right now, and he has 3 camps up and available on his side of the map. So this Hecarim is going to really start pulling the head of the Lee Sin if Hacker can't make something happen. And as of yet, haven't really been able to find it. We do see ShiauC going for a roam mid. I like this play. Go for the 3-man mid. If you can connect that dredge line from the Nautilus, definitely potential for the play. But it looks like Hacker just showed up in vision instead. They're trying to go for a jungle invade, right? Hacker has no camps of his own. They want to steal some of Karsa's.
Karsa doesn't want to let it go. Decides it's better that he does. As Hacker and ShiauC take away his chicken nuggets, will be a little bit scorned there by Karsa. But that is something I want to focus on, right? Hacker seems to be the only one that has that very high pressure that has the ability to really do something in the early parts of the game, where you're obviously relying on the later game for the rest of the team, as Elias takes a heavy trade in the top side from Rich. But it seems to be a little bit mismatched in the goals, right? And Hacker seems to be a little bit alone until we get those runs from ShiauC like we just saw.
Yeah, and it's needed to make sure you have the backup and to pick the timings, because as we saw when he was contesting the scuttle, if you don't have Cryin on the lanes, if you don't have anyone to assist,
ooh, shockwave onto Cryin, as well as the devastating charge, beautifully timed. Cryin goes down to first blood to Karsa.
Yeah, really nice setup. Shockwave connects, and Cryin, it's a difficult situation because if you flash the Shockwave, you're just going to die to the Hecarim, so it was kind of doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. Critically, there wasn't too much vision control around the top side, and honestly, my one criticism, Cryin probably should have been leaning towards bot, right? You had a ward that just timed out there. You had a Hacker on the bot side. I think he was a little bit too central in the lane that left him a bit vulnerable. But either way, it's a good gank from V5 to get things rolling. And already you can see Karsa not missing a beat, heading up towards that top side scuttle on the respawn. He's just really trying to push this jungle matchup ahead. And once the Hecarim hits level 6, that's a really big spike for him, right? Lee Sin definitely gets a lot of power from his ultimate, but level 3, he is such a strong jungler, and we haven't been able to see that from Ultra Prime, from Hacker, right? If you look at the jungle matchup, nearly 700 gold difference between them.
Yeah, which is crazy this early on in the game, especially the jungle. Now Karsa, that's the thing about Karsa, is as soon as he sniffs a little blood in the water, knows that he has some sort of advantage, he pounces on it every time. And Karsa now is looking for a bit of an in-bait. We'll see if he actually commits to it, as the chickens will spawn. And he starts to take them very quickly as the Hecarim. Hacker will come around the corner, though, and see that he's taking his chicken nuggets. Definitely doesn't want to let that happen, but has to watch it happen anyways.
Yeah, and critically, level 6 now hit by Karsa, so Hacker, no way you want to contest the Hecarim at this point. Bit too strong and bit too much of a power gap. So what I will say is that on the bot side, Elk and ShiauC have been doing a pretty good job in this lane, right?
Yeah, they
I expected the double range matchup. I was like, if you aren't fighting the all-ins, you're just gonna have a bad time. But they actually have a CS lead. They've been holding up pretty healthily. Now you are seeing this is a bit of a sore point, because once you have 3 points in your queue for Karma, you can put down a ton of harass, right? Those queues starting to hit. But critically, we're closing in on level 6, and what I will say is there's a huge power spike for the Nautilus at that point.
All right, well, we hit level 6 for both ADCs. The engage on the Photic does get Arcane shifted away, and now ShiauC rooted down the flashes. It's too late, and ppgod picks up the second kill for V5. Elk in some trouble, but won't go down. Karsa is hunting, though. He doesn't want to let Elk go. The blast cone over the wall. No, Elk, you fell for the bait, and you die for it. Even the flash coming out of the ADC for Ultra Prime.
We find some of that momentum that V5 were looking for in their bot lane, right? The constant harass. And you can see Ultra Prime trying to contest the wave a bit too heavily. Hacker's trying to contest his Grumpy. I'm not sure that's a good idea either.
He's just saying, Karsa can't continue to bully me like this. Like, I can't let this happen.
I don't think he gets choice on that one. Hacker will lose his Grump. We'll be able to stop the blue buff. And in fairness, right, he has actually managed to close the gap in terms of jungle camps, but that's kind of because of the fact that Karsa's been ganking. Karsa now 2-0. He's looking for Cryin.
It really is the onslaught of Shadow Steps. Oh my god! This duo just doesn't stop. Rookie, Karsa, they are deadly.
And you can kind of see the power of the Hecarim, right? You know, yes, a little bit vulnerable pre-6, but once you get to that level 6 point, so much engaged potential, particularly up against these immobile carries, the Viktor, the Jinx. A lot of pain for them. Now, we do see Ultra Prime finally getting some action towards the bot side. But bear in mind, Cryin is on the map. This is a little bit risky. It's a 3v3 on the bot side.
Rookie is here with Shockwave as well. Could be a big momentum changer if Ultra Prime can find something, or they just get caught out and ShiauC has to use the dredge line out.
Yeah, so Ultra Prime still get a bit of an advantage there, right? Deny a couple of minions, they get a plate. But on the other side, V5 are picking up the Herald. And critically, because Cryin was dead, there's no opportunity really for Ultra Prime to do anything more. They can't go for like a big considered effort to dive their bot lane because the numbers were even on the map. They lose out on the Herald. There's now nearly a 3,000 gold lead, 2,700. And V5, this is exactly the early game they wanted, right? This is what they got out of the composition. Triple prio lanes and a Hecarim who can just pull ahead in the jungle matchup. So a solid start. I'm now looking to see where they will make use of the Herald. I feel like mid, in my mind, makes a lot of sense, right? It's already pretty low, all things considered, right? 3.5 plates left only, despite the fact that, you know, this matchup shouldn't be that favored, but the ganks have really made a big impact. You throw this down mid, there's potential you could even take the whole tower, but bare minimum, get it pretty low. And we see the replay, and it's just, the problem is, right, no ult for ShiauC means he goes in for this, but he can't really follow up, right? If you have the ultimate, that could be a difference maker. But in all honesty, you don't have your jungler here. Karsa's in the wings. It was just a bit over aggressive. And the fact that not only do they lose the Nautilus, but they also lose Elk, decided to try and place a ward down, and burns the flash on top of that.
Bit unfortunate there in the end of it all, but can I just say a little side point here? Is it just me, or is Hecarim like the perfect LPL jungler, right? You get multiple forms of moving CC, you get a lot of mobility, can be around the map. You have literally an R that could bring you across your screen and fear an entire group of people. I feel like, especially on Karsa's side, like it's just perfect. Aux, am I crazy for that?
I mean, it's pretty good, right? We've seen it so high in priority since 12.4 hit. You know, we saw the nerf to the jungler's itemization. Chem tank is in a really good spot for tank junglers, and it's just the fact that, you know, he is clearing so fast and is a massive threat to these backlines. And critically, you know, one thing I've said so much is that LPL teams have struggled when their supports aren't on engaged champions, because they feel like they need that primary engage. They often rely on the supports for it. When you have a Hecarim, that is more than enough engaged, right? And it means that in a position like this, you can pick the Karma and not be left without a key tool.
Oh, hey, we finally get to look at top lane. We've only got to go up there a couple times. It's been just checking in on the island, making sure it's still there. Elias and Rich going at it there. Elias already using the needlework, though.
Yeah, Rich has the flash, and that's a longer cooldown than the ghost, but I think he's kind of fine with that situation. He got out. Is going to be a trade down in terms of summoners, but all things considered, as long as you're not dying to the Gwen, you're pretty comfortable in this matchup. Has the Hull Breaker now to apply a fair bit of pressure in mid lane. You know, Hack has to show up and just offer cover, because it is so scary for Cryin and get bullied out here.
Oh, Gravity Field will not catch Rookie in the trap. Say, though, forcing Hacker's attention in the mid lane. I was saying, you know, when we're getting into the game, Hacker's going to have to find stability, find a way to, you know, put out the fires that V5 are lighting across the map. So far, not able to do so, but at least you see he's trying. He's got his firefighter suit on. He's saying, Cryin, I got you. Cryin has to flash away from Rookie, and now the mid lane tower is going to burn.
Yeah, so we're seeing the two-play play coming out mid, but they might actually be able to get more. Rich could be in trouble,
He doesn't have Mega Gnar. He's just going for the 1v1. Now it's a 2v1. Rich trying to dodge out here. Does have the Hull Breaker for a lot of tankiness. Try to get away from Hecker, but it's going to be too late. Elias picking up the kill, and the first one for Ultra Prime.
Yeah, but critically, because that attention was put up towards the top side, right, it means that they're able to get the full tower mid. I talk a lot about how if you throw the Herald down mid, you get 2 plates. The second Herald can mean you kill it. Mid tier 1, very important for map control. But the fact that there was so much pressure mid out of Rookie and also Karsa with the ganks. Oh no, ShiauC not the play.
Oh, again, the bait's coming out strong. Ultra Prime. ShiauC flashing with the heal from Elk. He actually saves the day.
I mean, he lives, but, you know, still in a pretty bad situation, right? And I was talking about before how ShiauC landing all those dredge lines, it burns the mana of Photic, right? Having an arcane shift away. Photic has the Essence Reaver now, right?
Yep.
He basically has infinite mana, so it's just completely irrelevant at this point now. And the thing is, he can't find these windows to engage to be able to find favorable plays, so things are getting really difficult for this bot lane 2v2. Mid lane is obviously in a very rough spot. The fact they've taken that tier 1 already, bit of a disaster. Ultra Prime is looking rough, and I did say, right, they definitely have scaling elements, right? They got the kill for Elias on the Gwen, Jinx and Viktor, very strong in the later stages, but I am so worried about them coming into this mid game.
It is a little bit terrifying, especially when you're already this far down, and we just now lost the plates to the towers. We will see a lot of mythic items coming across the board, especially Gale Force for Elk, having a decent power spike there. And stopping Photic's back a little bit longer here. And let's see if they can catch him too. Hacker is hunting. Photic throws up the thumbs up because he knows he is safe. Unless he steps forward. Okay, he still has the arcade shift. Thought Hacker might follow up as well, but Photic feels comfy and confident there as ppgod coming to back him up.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel so frustrated for ShiauC, right? If this is any other AD carry, Photic would be like dead 4 times. And obviously, you know, Photic is playing this way because he's on Ezreal, but still, it's a frustrating situation to be in. And it just feels like, you know, the early laning phase, I think they handled well, but it's at the point where, you know, if you hit your dredge line or miss it or whatever, if you don't find a good engage, you take so much damage in return.
And I'm still looking at V5 to make sure they're checking everything off their list, as we were saying, the shopping cart meme alive. Just because last series they had, it was after 25 minutes that they were losing the game. It was in the later parts of the game and those team fights. So yes, they have a decent lead. They've had major control around the map, but still a little bit of uneasiness on my side when I'm watching this game and wanting to make sure that V5, you know, do solidify this lead and make sure they can take it to the end.
Honestly, any game where you're facing against the Jinx, I feel like there's always like
terrifying, man.
A bit of a tentativeness. It's like, okay, if we make a mistake, if Jinx starts to get resets, there's definitely potential to throw it, which is why, you know, it's good they found that early momentum. I want to see it continued. You can see right now Karsa picking up the Herald on the top side. I want to see after that you can head bot, maybe get power there, but also pick up the dragon. Just keep this momentum going. And it is a Cloud Soul. You know, I actually rate Cloud Soul pretty heavily with this composition. Karma and Hecarim both think super well with it. But we'll see them get that top lane tower pretty much organically, right? Just from the fact that Rich having this whole breaker is so hard to deal with. And they will pick up the Herald now. You actually see Ultra Prime have moved down towards that dragon on the bot side. So maybe going to try and get that. Should be able to pick up this bot tower as well. So a positive cross map. But I feel like V5, you should not be letting them get this dragon. You should be contesting this.
Yeah, keeping that pressure up, as you were kind of saying, is the name of the game for V5 right now. Elk himself gathering up a little bit of gold in that bottom side. It'll be a nice pickup for himself. Looks like the team is backing off from that dragon. So still V5 moving into position, doing exactly like you wanted, Aux, and taking the second dragon of the game for them.
Yeah, what I will say is Ultra Prime at least have a dragon, right? It would be a little bit...
Do it. Oh, he stole it! Let's go, Elk. That's
Lord.
why it's arcane.
Man, and yeah, I was about to say, Ultra Prime at least have one dragon. It does delay the soul. Now they get two, right? It's going to be a while before V5 can get a soul. 32 minutes would be the earliest, which by that point, either the game is probably going to be over or the Jinx should be online. They are going to continue with the plan, though. So the Herald down bot and apply some pressure, but it looks like Ultra Prime are looking to contest this. There's wards behind if they want to go for a TP flank.
They do actually. The trigger is pulled. Rookie has been CC'd by the depth charge. Kicked back as well. The re-engage from Karsa does not save Rookie. Hacker goes down. Karsa the next one. Now Elias is on the backside and ppgod is left out for dead. What a turnaround. This is exactly the fear I had looking at V5.
There's the mistake, right? It's what we were waiting for. Critically, Rich doesn't end up joining the fight. It's a great flank from Elias, but even before the flank, they were winning that fight, right? They managed to find a beautiful kick on a Rookie coming out from Hacker. Rookie just gets basically taken out the fight almost instantly. And then Karsa, he wants to engage to provide some space, but you don't have the follow-up, right? You don't have the ult from Rookie to really layer. And it's just Ultra Prime finding favor. They're still behind, but this is exactly what they need.
It just feels like V5 are trying not to let the script for Arcade happen. They're trying everything they can, and Elk's just like, no, I picked the main character. I'm fine.
And honestly, some things even went amiss here, right? ShiauC didn't connect the dredge line there, but still goes favorably. And the Cryin just deleting the Hecarim, super strong, even though he's behind. If you're getting pummeled by the Jinx and the Viktor, you will go down. And look, it's still a lead for V5. They're still 3,500 gold up, but a couple of mistakes coming out definitely make me feel more positive for Ultra Prime.
Rich getting out of an engage onto ShiauC, actually putting a decent amount of damage up there as well, but luckily he was able to get away from the depth charge, or dredge line rather, because the rest of Ultra Prime were on their way there. We'll see the reset into mid lane though for Ultra Prime, trying to defend against Photic and ppgod. Trying to get this tier 2 tower working in the mid and bottom lane for V5, and this is the pressure we wanted them to keep up.
Yeah, they really need to keep the momentum going, right? Because the problem is now Soul is so far away, it's not going to give you that much of an advantage. The thing is as well is that, like, you know, movement speed definitely strong for Hecarim, don't get me wrong, but it's not like an Infernal Soul where everyone on your team is doing more damage. If you do end up, like, you know, you can overcap a movement speed. And do you see them potentially looking for something here?
Takes half of his health just from a quick trade, missing the dredge line there. Wanting to get the quick engage. Elk having used the Mega Death Rocket, get some chip damage early on in the fight. It's like V5 actually back away from this one.
As I was saying, the Cloud Soul isn't just going to be an auto win if V5 get it. And again, it's so late in the game, it's not really a win con anymore. They have to keep this momentum going, and they are trying to siege mid.
ShiauC just tried. Oh, look at Elk just got all of his health bar taken out with one true shot barrage. My goodness, that's the Vieira mana. And now the shockwave connects onto Hacker. Hacker dies to Photic. Oh no, Karsa overextended a little bit. He's CC'd down. Elk goes forward, but can't get the damage down on it. The Gale Force utilized. Rich pushing the top side this entire time. Almost gets a tier 2, but V5 back off the mid lane. Now it's all about Rich at the top side against Elias.
Yeah, and he's just applying so much pressure with the hull breaker, right? Elias wants to go for an all-in, but isn't really finding an angle, and as a result, just the constant harassment on the tower, the fact that the hull breaker allows him to do more damage is being such a pain. And I love that V5 playing a bit more strain now in this situation. They look for harass, they look for poke, right? Poke gets completely chunked out. That was the W from the Ezreal combined with the ult. And then they're just fishing. They're not overcommitting. They fish, they get the shockwave, no W for Hacker, so you can't get out. They take the kill, and you know what? They don't go further. Karsa is able to get out of that situation because he's quite bulky. And this is kind of the thing. This is where V5 have spiked, right? Look at the Ezreal, Essence Reaver, and that Man Immune. At this point in the game, the tank Hecarim still does a lot of damage, but isn't that easy to kill. And you look on the other side, Cryin doesn't have a second item. Elk still looking to complete his third, fourth. So this is really the power point for V5. The 5,000 gold up. They need to keep the momentum going if they want to win this game.
You see they're already pinging down towards the dragon, which just spawned in 25 seconds. I want to get a reiteration on that one since the last one was stolen by Arcane, or Elk rather. And the fact that they are still pushing. Yeah, hey, I mean, at this point, I feel like, you know, she is Arcane, okay? I
feel like all the Viktor fans out there will have something to say.
Come at me, bro. Come at me. But it will be Dragon on the table here now. We'll see as actually Karsa's already there. Hacker nowhere near. So it'll be second Dragon for V5, but still Ultra Prime fine with that, right? They've already put a wrench in the works of V5. Almost stealing another one, putting a rocket in there if they wanted to. But it is that late game scaling objective in the quick stacking that V5 were going for that they will not have.
Yeah, I mean, that's the critical thing, is that it's not only the fact that the Soul is slower, Elder is also slower, right? So it's one of these situations where they'll have to wait longer to get that objective as well. But on top of that, we have a situation here where it's definitely going to contribute a lot. If you get the Baron, I can see it being a problem for Ultra Prime by all means. But their wave clear is pretty good, right? So yeah, not the worst team to deal with that. But despite that, it's still a play. V5 trying to get control of this red side jungle. And the plan here needs to be get the deep vision, force Ultra Prime to move in to contest the Baron, and then you have the Hecarim just charge at them. That's the game plan essentially in this situation.
And game plans are all for naught if the communication breaks down in the later parts of the game. V5 still up in the top side, though, communicating well in the fact that they want to keep the pressure up. Although focusing more on the top side is interesting here. They do have the split push for Rich in the bot lane now, though.
Yeah, and they push this wave on top, but they don't actually have any pressure mid, right? Normally, you want to like have your mid wave crash, and then your team rotate up as a full unit to catch the top wave as it hits that tier 2. That's how you'd apply the pressure to take it. The waves are a little bit desynced there, so it wasn't really an opportunity. They are starting to do that now. You can see mid wave means Elk has to catch it. The rest of the team is moving up for this wave. This should be very hard to defend for Ultra Prime.
And again, I want to go back to the point of it's just the poke, man. They can't get close to the tower. They can't do anything because Photic is just using True Shot Barrage on cooldown, and as soon as you overstep, Karsa can get behind you and take you back into the team.
Yeah, it's so threatening, and I just like that they
there we
recall
go.
Stopped again. It's so annoying, but I like that they sort of use the mid wave correctly. They force Elk to respond. Good sort of macro play to secure that top lane tier 2, and it's worth a lot of gold, right? 6,000, no, 7,000 ahead now. The extra gold you get from those side lane tier 2 is definitely valuable. Now Rich could be in trouble.
Does have Mega Gnar. The kick hits on the other side, and Rich throws the thumbs up as
it's one of those situations where if you force Rich's flash to get out of that scenario, at least that's something. But doesn't even have to use the flash, just hops over you.
Yeah.
Pretty rough now. Karsa's looking.
I was going to say, they're on 3 item spikes here for Rookie and for Photic, and they want to push up the aggression. ShiauC is just left out to dry again, and Rich TPing in the mid lane. The pressure is on. Ultra Prime are going to lose structures here if they continue to bleed.
Yeah, Rich is just so strong, holding up by himself. You actually saw Photic dash forward and chunk out Cryin there. So now the Viktor has to step away. Looks like they're going to start the Baron in this scenario. You see, actually, Rookie is playing Disruption with Rich. It's so hard to face check. Remember, the support is dead, so they don't have those wards easily available to help push up.
V5 feeling a little bit uneasy. Karsa trying to go for the Honey Fruit as Ultra Prime move in, but Rookie on the side waiting for a big shockwave. Elk is in some trouble now. They need to start peeling for him. Cryin was on the side, and ppgod almost died because of it.
Yeah, had to be a bit careful there. You know, we saw L getting some free hits. They used the blue trinket to spot out the Baron, and critically, you know, as much as I was saying Rookie playing Interrupt to try and make things a little bit dangerous, it does mean you don't have that extra shielding on the Baron, you don't have that extra damage. It was going down quite slowly, so they will opt to back away. Don't want to overstep. And again, if you have that Baron stolen, or you lose a team fight off the back of it, right? If L gets a bunch of kills and gets a cleanup, that is really where the game can go completely in Ultra Prime's favor. So V5 play it safe. Gonna farm up their waves. Dragon is spawning in a minute 10, so they can look towards that.
We'll get a replay of that last fight. Karsa and Photic moving forward here. Poor ShiauC.
Yeah, so ShiauC, his death here was honestly, you know, kind of unavoidable because he had to go get a ward on the Baron, right? His jungler has just shown bot side. They have to know if Baron's being done. V5 hadn't started it critically though, so they turn on him and kill him. But at the end of the day, you lose your support. You find out that they're not doing Baron and you manage to prevent it. I'd say that's worth. I wouldn't really care about that. So ShiauC takes one for the team. At the end of the day, V5 weren't able to translate the Hacker being bot lane to anything. Now looking to pick up a dragon, and it's just kind of crazy that we are, you know, going to be 27 minutes in the game and V5 won't have a soul. Definitely not exactly what they were looking to get out of this game.
You know what, though? I'm here for the underlying narrative, the story that maybe nobody sees, maybe I only see. But Elk and Photic are out for each other, man. Photic has hit Elk with so many random true shot barrages. Like, every time he sees him on vision, he just fires one that way, hits him for half of his health. Elk is just using his ulti to be a nuisance, stopping Photic's back multiple times, now stealing the dragon from Karsa. That's the story I'm here for, Aux.
Honestly, it's so annoying, right? It's kind of revenge. We see so many times where the Jinx will just fire the ult, right, for poke, and you kind of get in the turnaround here. Now, Shockwave, this time Hacker uses his safeguard to dodge away from the Shockwave, doesn't get caught out. He is chunked, and with no camps up, he can't really heal up. But it's just this constant back and forth to contest over Baron. What I will say, though, there's a ward in the Baron pit, so Ultra Prime don't actually need to be this far up when they know it's not going down. Oh,
I want to point out
through
as well, Lord Doms has been completed for Elk. That's a huge power staple for the Jinx, and the 3-item spike is definitely alive now for the AD carry of Ultra Prime, but it's all about positioning. He's not getting caught by the multitude of aggression that V5 is putting forward, and especially looking out for Karsa on the engages. Feel like the peeling has to be there for Ultra Prime if they want to find any success here and find anything in the team fights.
I find it funny that the Cryin orb has just been hit, and then they see, oh, there was a blue ward in the pit this whole time. I feel like it's so weird. We have this aggressive push up from V5. It's like, you know, they have vision in the pit, right? It's like,
check the
it's not even subtle.
Oh, but ShiauC, Karsa decides he's already dead. He doesn't need to go for him, so he goes for Elk, and Elk is already dead. Now Hacker's out. This is a picked apart fight for V5, and they are picking at the bones of Ultra Prime as Shockwave comes through from Elias onto Elias, and he dies to the devastating charge of Karsa. This has to be the first game, right? They are gonna push into the base. They don't care about the tower at this point. Photic's like, guys, the tower, not Cryin. But Karsa's like, nah, we gotta get one more kill on the board, and they'll slowly but surely break into the base of Ultra Prime and whole-handedly take this first game in our first best of 3 of the night.
My Karsa's having so much fun with a double speed up, just shooting around. I'm honestly sad they didn't get a Cloud Soul. See how fast he could have gone, but just chases down Cryin and leaves nothing to chance. Not letting the Viktor stay up and wave clear. But yeah, you know, I feel like there were moments where V5 made mistakes. Ultra Prime had a composition where if they got the time to scale, they could capitalize. But for the most part, V5 managed to be pretty convincing as closing this one out. Triple prio lanes with a jungler who's just going to be able to farm up and be a monster really doesn't tend well for the side of Ultra Prime. And honestly, I'd say my criticism with this one is I feel like it was too much scaling, right? You know, Gwen, Viktor, Jinx, obviously still in the later stages, but Lee Sin didn't have a lane to play through. And I think that's kind of the problem here. He didn't get to do anything in the early game. They kind of got shut out. The momentum was in V5's favor. And then other than, like, you know, the Dragon Steal and that one fight bot lane, nothing really came from Ultra Prime here.
Gave us some fears for sure, getting a little bit of recollection to that JDG series, but that's exactly what I wanted to see from V5. last time when they were getting leads early, they were trying to keep the aggression up, but it wasn't on this same level. It wasn't staying in the enemy jungle for like 4 minutes and just keeping the pressure up there no matter what lane is pushing. And just to be able to see that kind of adaptation from the last time we saw V5 is so important for me, because that is what works for them.
Yeah, for sure. And oh man, it's just crazy the goal difference, how it just explodes towards the end. But you know, again, there are some mistakes, and I will say it was kind of funny. I mentioned it in the game. V5 forgetting to clear out the pit, right, and make sure that they had no wards in there for the enemy team. But regardless, they do manage to close things out. And Ultra Prime, a rough start just because it felt like, you know, at least they got that 1-5 bot. But other than that, it felt like they really just couldn't find any headway into this game. And Photic, most damage in the game. Unsurprisingly, all those true shot barrages just constantly poking out the squishier members. Frustrating to go up against at minimum.
Yeah, and it just felt like, you know, you were wanting to see a priority gain for Cryin in the mid lane. Never really came to fruition there with the Viktor pick, and Elk having some good highlight performances at some parts of the game itself, but the entire team, right, ShiauC just getting so annoyed at Photic for getting out every single time with the arcade shift and never being able to kind of lock him down. So I'm definitely looking for more hard CC and more synergy for Ultra Prime that leads to, you know, direct decisions in team fights. Lock one person down, burn them down, move on to the next. Because I think that for Ultra Prime, that's one of the ways that they can find something at least in the team fights, in these kind of skirmishes that they've got going on.
Well, I feel like for me, it's the mid priority was such a black hole, right? Something we talked about was Cryin roaming to the sides, and you saw like LeBlanc banned away by V5 for that reason. If you have a strong mid jungle, you win there, you move it to bot lane, you can move it to top lane, and you win on your scaling sides. The problem is that never happened. We had 3 lanes doing nothing. Easy win for V5.
Hey, also, it's kind of hard to do that when you're going against probably the top mid jungle duo of the LPL.
Pretty good. They're pretty good, I will say.
Pretty good. I mean,